Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's Brother Raya,
Shalom, shalom, brother Tazman, the Bayala.
Khan, giving all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Right, another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor week in and week out, right, making their body live in sacrifice. Right, another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, magnifying the Most High and his beloved son Yahweh Shah. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty sisters in this thing, right? Sincerely reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts for our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, right? Doing everything they could do to magnify the Most High in the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the zealous children in this thing, man, right? On fire, doing everything they could do to magnify the Most High. Abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes, making their body a living sacrifice. Those that are actually in this truth, doing the work of the Most High, not making excuses, zealous, and about their father's business. You got it, huh?
Khan, all praises, Khan. Right, as well as always, giving all honor and glory to Abanawa, Lahayanawa, Yahweh Bashum Mashak, Mamalak Yahushai, Hatazadaka the righteous. And of course, giving more exhortation, right, to the mighty elders in this truth, right, who continue to build up the younger men, right, in this truth, right, all of the mighty Aki, the Aqua, right, married, unmarried, right, doing the work, right, brothers and sisters that's cleaning, cooking, right, giving alms and charity, right, brothers that's building themselves up to go out to the highways and byways, the mighty bonding, the mighty children, as well as honoring your mother and your father and keeping the law, statutes, commandments, right, all praises to the Most High and shalom to all.
Con, and we're going to dive straight into it, right? We named this Staying in the Spirit and Enduring to the End. You know, it's a lot of brothers weeding out in the last days. And essentially, this is prophecy, right? We're going to share the screen and we're going to dive, right, straight into it. Right? Give me a strong con if you can see the screen. And essentially, this is prophecy. You see, the Most High is not choosing everybody, contrary to popular belief. Right? The Most High is not, gathering up everyone to be saved. You have to have the 2/3. You have to have the men that crept in unaware. You have to have men that are hypocrites, men that they say that they're in this truth, they're about their father's business, but what? They turn aside. This is the book of Matthew, right? Chapter 15 and verse 13. But he answereth and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. Right? It says it shall be rooted up. You got a lot of men in this truth, man. Think of how many Israelites that know that they're Israelites that say that they're in the truth right now. It's prophesied by the hand of our King Yahweh Shah that the Most High, through Yahweh Shah, said, every plant, meaning every man, which my heavenly Father have not planted. See, the Most High has to root you. Right? Let me get this quick precept. The Lord said in the book of John, the 6th chapter, right? The Most High has to draw you to Yahweh Shah. So essentially, it's of the Father's plan. The Most High is not choosing everybody. Doesn't matter how tall you are. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who your father is. Doesn't matter how long your fringes are. How long you've been in this truth. Essentially, it all boils down to the Most High. No man, this is the book of John, chapter 6 and 44. No man can come unto me except my Father, which have sent me, draw him. So it's a spirit to why you're drawn to these precepts, why you're drawn to come into camp, why you're drawn to give alms, drawn to do charity, right? Drawn to be righteous. It's not of yourselves, it's not of your righteousness, it's of the Most High. It's through his plan and predestination to draw you back to him through his son Yahweh Shah. And I will raise him up at the last day. That's why the Lord said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. And we're coming in a time that these days that we're entering into, the love of many is going to wax cold. Right? It's going to be a lot less shalawams, a lot less unity camps, a lot less brotherly love, right? A lot less righteous marriages, right? A lot less forgiveness of sins, right? And reconciliation. It's going to be a whole lot of men turning aside, right? proceeding to Second Timothy, the third chapter, and all hell breaking loose amongst men, brethren, camps, relationships, brotherhoods. So the Most High's design is to uproot a lot of men too. We talk about planning, brothers, doing flyer missions, teaching the elect, but we also have to go into too how a lot of men are going to be rooted out and how it's pivotal, important to stay on fire in this thing, man. If you're not on fire, you have to examine yourself. And being on fire, there are levels to being on fire, and I'm going to touch on that too. But if you're not striving to be on fire, if you're not pushing yourself to do everything that you can, if you feel your spirit slipping, you got to question your love for the Most High and His Son Yahweh Shai. You got it, King.
Con, con, and Sloth. That's right, right. And I'm gonna go to the Sloth. I'm going to the classic through the Spirit. Right, con. Let's go to the book of Saint John, con, chapter 10 and verse number 1. It reads, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, Slakia, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber." Right, so you gotta come into this truth right through the straight way, man. You know, some men they may come in through right. Rather you may see it's a 1,000 views, man. Right, some men may see right it's a garments, man. Or some men they may see certain things that may be carnal, right? But if you aren't following or led after the spirit, it's only but so long, right, that you're going to be able to put on the face, the rules, right, that you are as someone that you're not, right? Someone in the so-called world that puts on the so-called face, right, as this top tier bad guy, man, right? Those men they get exposed, right, once they run into those that are tougher, man. Right, the same way in this truth. If you're trying to come a different way, right, that's not by the door, right, which is through Yahweh Shai, man. Right, then you're not gonna last long, man. Right, you're gonna run out of the gas and steam. Right, verse 2 it reads, "But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out." Right. So the sheep are going to do the things that the Lord requires of them, man. Right. Whether it's going out weekly, man. Right. Whether it's giving out alms and charity, right. Whether it's stirring up those gifts that's inside you, right, and actually not wasting your talents or the power, or which is the money that the Lord gave you in the book of Luke, the 19th chapter, man. Right, those that actually hear the words of the Lord, man, are actually going to be the ones, right, that actually stay, man. Right, that aren't the ones that get sifted out, right, and drawn away. Come, what you got?
Khan, let me get the brother back in this thing. Shalom, King.
God, shalom, shalom, kings.
Khan, I'm gonna bring it out. Yeah, let's go to the mighty book of Proverbs, right? Let's go to the mighty book of Proverbs, right? Chapter 30. Right. And there's levels to being on fire, man. You're not just gonna wake up, and just combust in flames. Right. It all starts, right, with the fear of the Most High and wanting to draw near into the Most High, man, with its sincere spirit. See, a lot of people don't want to draw near into the Most High. They don't love correction. They don't love reproof. They're slothful, right? They want to do their own pleasures and the things that they want to do, right? This life is not about us. We're all servants to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. And the more we embrace that and understand that, the more the Most High can use us. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 30 and verse 16, right? I'm going to start. This whole thing is fire, right? I'm going to start at 15. The horch leaf saith, right? The horch leaf have two daughters crying, give, give. There are three things that are never satisfied. Yea, four things say not, it is enough. The grave, right? The grave is not going to say, look, I had enough. No, people are dying every day. The barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, right? And the fire that saith not, it is enough. So the fire never says, I had enough. When does the fire stop burning? The fire, if a fire starts, it can combust from a spark and it could destroy a whole forest. It could destroy your whole city. It could destroy your whole building. See, fire, the thing about fire is fire was created to grow, to get stronger. Fire was created, right, to say it is not enough. So we have to take on that same spirit. You know, our souls and our spirits are a flaming fire, right? And we're created in the Most High's image. We're created to burn. That's why a lot of the times when brothers are asleep, their spirits are still burning for the Most High in their dreams, their visions. That's why a lot of your thought process is directed to a precept. Your thoughts are directed by the hand of the Most High. That's a lot of the times something is pulling you and drawing you toward the Most High. That's that fire burning deep down within you that's saying that it is enough. Well, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to First Corinthians, right? First Corinthians chapter 9 in verse number 24. It says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that you may obtain. So the Most High is telling you to run. A lot of people, they're jogging, they're halfway sprinting, they're taking breaks. We're all running so that we can obtain, right, the kingdom of heaven. So you got to really want the kingdom of heaven. A lot of brothers really don't want it. They just want part of the glory of the Most High. They just want slaves. They just want rulership. These are the carnal things you just want. But what about a life where your people aren't oppressed anymore? Right? What about a life where you can see your king in the flesh, man? What about a life of the things we've been reading about manifested to you, man? You got to run toward those things. When Peter and John were running toward Yahushua in the resurrection, you understand they were running. They weren't jogging, man. Right? It said one disciple outran the other. It says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, right? I mean, look at these athletes, man. You have Deion Sanders. He's missing one of his toes, man. You got these people, they beat up their bodies, their ligaments, right? And their joints all for carnal riches, carnal things like a championship, right? The NBA finals. They're breaking down their bodies in vain. We have to run down our bodies in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Long camps, endurances, staying up long hours, doing these councils. But we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, right? And a lot of brothers have to consider why they're running. Is it by fear of man? Are you just coming to camp so you don't get got on? Are you just, showing up? No, because you're solidified in the brotherhood and it's respected by the guidelines. Why are you in this truth? You have to consider why you're running. Because once you understand that and go harder in that, you're going to pick up the pace. See, a lot of brothers, they run uncertainly. It says, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And Paul understood that, man. See, Paul understood that any given second, right, this isn't granted unto us. It's even grace and mercy that we're in this truth, as Paul has said many a times. So he said, look, unless I preach to others, I myself could be a castaway. Brothers got it.
Khan, Shalom. Can brothers hear me?
Khan, Shalom, King. Khan.
Shalom, Kings. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 38, and we can start at verse number 24. Right? That's very important, man. You know, this race is not for the swift. It's not for those who can sprint a 3.9 40 mile, 40-yard dash. Right? Just because you can sprint out quick doesn't mean you're going to finish in first place. And that's the ideology that Israel has to have. Right? We didn't start out as ancient Egypt with monuments of gold and treasure cities. Right? We started out at a lowly estate and built our way up. That's the same way it is in this truth. You got to have that understanding that, this is a continuous race. It's no time to stop. There's no pit stops, right? There's no time to stop and smell the flowers. Because once you take your eyes off the kingdom of heaven, or you take your eyes off Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that's when Satan comes in, right? That's when Satan is right there at the door, knocking on the door, giving you everything that you desire, everything that your flesh is calling for. And you're going to forget why you're in this race. Right, so this is Sirach, chapter 38, and verse number 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that have little business shall become wise. So the only way to increase and continue on that straight and narrow path is your learned time and your wisdom and understanding has to come at your leisure, right? It has to come when you're not doing anything, right? When you're scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on Twitter, open that Bible app, read 2 or 3 chapters, right? Think of precepts in your head that you can remember, right? That opportunity comes at leisure, right? And he that has little business shall become wise. You can't be trying to join 15 basketball leagues, right? Trying to do a bowling league with your co-workers, right? Everything is occupying your time. You don't have no time for y'all Bashim Shai. How are you going to ever be able to fight these demons? How are you going to be able to help the next person fight these demons who are battling them? Right? This is where the exhortation comes in, to understand what is needed to make sure that you can continue to uplift your brother. You can uplift your family. You can uplift those who need uplifting. Because at the end of the day, if I'm striving to make it to the kingdom of heaven by myself, it's no fun. I need my brothers. I need my sisters. I need my family there with me. So your leisure time has to be thinking about how you can help the nation. What can you do to help build up people who are falling short? Right? Verse number 25. And it reads, how can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the gold, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? So how can you stay on fire if all you talk about is things of this world? If you're talking about how Aaron Rodgers threw 15 touchdowns over the last 2 football games, what does that profit you? How does that help you gain more wisdom? How does that help you stop falling short from dealing with all these wicked women? How does that stop you from helping you put down the blunt, or from robbing your neighbor or selling drugs? Right? You're not going to get wisdom holding the plow and doing things that occupy your labor that's not profitable. Right? And it says, and whose talk is of bullocks. Right? That's why you can't have guile in your mouth. That's why the elect shall be found with no guile, loosely paraphrasing. You should be talking to men of understanding. You should be talking to women of understanding. Right? My conversation shouldn't be about how I can roll up an eighth in 2 blunts, or how I can sell a brick in an hour and get a Mercedes Benz. Right? Your conversation should be with those who desire to get the kingdom of heaven, which ultimately is going to keep you sharp and on fire, because you don't want to look like you don't have any understanding. You don't want to look like a fool in the midst of great men or great women. So you have to make sure that your time is always occupied. And when you do find yourself doing things that you ought not do, remember the precepts that can help you get away and deter you from coming short. But the brothers got it.
No doubt. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 19. All right. It reads, as in water face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. Hell and destruction are never satisfied, are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied, man. Right, Con. So just to touch on a point, as the brother said, huh? Right, hell, right, going down into right the actual pit and actual destruction. Hey, these things are never satisfied, huh? Right, these things were made to continue to just consume and consume and consume. Huh? It reads, so the eyes of man are never satisfied, huh? Right, and it's only 2 ways that you can go. Right, either your eyes are never going to be satisfied with the cares of this world, man. Right, which is vanity. Right, with folly. Right, with all things which are proceeding to run in this race. Right, are your eyes consumed with all things that are corruptible? Right, or are your eyes consumed? Right, your mind, your body, your spirit. Right, consumed with things that are incorruptible, man. Right, such as having that immortality, man. Right, such as never being able to go off again, huh? Right? Because the Lord said to let your eye be single, huh? Right? Not let your eyes be to and fro. Right? Let me get that real fast in the book of Luke. All right, it's book of Luke chapter 11. So all right. Come. Right, Book of Luke, chapter 11, and verse number 33. It reads, no man, when he hath lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see may see the light, huh? Right? So you can't take the righteousness, all the things that the Lord has given you to let your light shine, huh? Right? And just hide it, huh? Right? Rather it's certain brothers they may have the quote unquote light at camp, right? But then during the rest of the week, right? All the talents, the gifts of counsel, the gifts of tongues, man, right? All the things that the Lord has given them, take that and have, right? Take it and shun it, or the prophecies, right? And the breakdowns, but you're gonna put that aside to go party, man, right? To go drink, to go do things, right? Back in the world that may be conveying to you. All right, verse 34, it reads, the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. Right. When your eye is single, when your mind is focused, right, locked in on that one task, that one goal, which is getting the kingdom of heaven, right? All right. Your body is going to be full of light, huh? Right? Because not only do you know the precepts, but you're also applying the precepts, huh? Right? Read on. It reads, but when thine eye is evil, thy body is full of darkness, man. And that's how a lot of men how they fall out, man. Right? Because your mind for a season may have been upon right the Lord, man. Right? May have been in his truth, man. Right? But something that was evil, man. Right? And it only takes a little bit, man. Right? The Lord said how a little leaven the whole lump, man. Right? You may be damn giving over to that lust demon, man. You may be giving over to just demons of just folly and vanity, man. Right? Things that are circumstances of comfort, right? Once your eye is given over to that evil, you now lose that light, right? And become filled with darkness, man. Right? And then men who were once running the race, right? Who were once sprinting, man. Right now they are gashing out. Right now you're slowing down, you start walking, right? Until you either turn around or just leave the race completely, man. Right, and you go back into the world and go back to doing God knows what, man. Right, so keep your mind and your eyes single, right, to this truth, man. Right, that's what keeps a lot of men able to endure these 15, these 20, right, these 30 plus years, right, because there's a bigger goal in mind, right, than just a temporary thing, right? Or as some say, right, a quote unquote, right, Israelite phase, man. But with that, you got it.
Con, I wanted to pull this up real fast. Real fast. Song of Solomon, the eighth chapter in the GNT. Right, this Song of Solomon, chapter 8, and I'm gonna start at verse number 6. It says, "Close your heart to every love but mine." Right, and brothers have to examine who their heart is open to, because as brothers is going into, your heart may be open to your lust, your pleasures, your vanity. Right, it may be open too much to your woman. You don't have a proper balance. Whatever your heart is open to is what you're going to give your time to. You got a lot of brothers that still play the video game all day and all night. You have certain brothers that, they watch TV, they're slothful, they don't want to do the work of the Most High. The Most High has called us to be master builders. The Lord said, close your heart to every love but mine. So if there's something you love more than the Most High, it's going to withdraw you from being able to do the work of the Most High. It says, hold no one's in your arms but me. So don't have no other love but this truth. See, a lot of people, they think they could play the 50, man. They think they can have their lust and their pleasures, but still do the work of the Most High at the same time. It's either all in or all out. That's why certain brothers are on fire and certain brothers aren't, man. And brothers are sitting there. Why is this brother so on fire? He's putting in more work than you are. He's going harder than you are. He's reading more than you. He wants it more than you. The Lord said, love is as powerful as death. It says, passion is as strong as death itself. It bursts into flames. So the Lord said, when you're on fire, you burst into flames, man. And brothers know that because I mean you got people that's on fire on the left hand side. So when you're angry and you want to fight, what happens? You wax hot. Everything goes out the window. You can't see nothing but you and your opponent. Right? You're on fire on the left hand side, and all you want to do is fight. You have certain people that have what they call adrenaline, right? They got punched in the jaw, they don't even feel it, they keep going. They're on fire on the left hand side. You need to be on fire on the right hand side. That nothing phases you. No demons. You getting smoked by these demons, these problems, these tribulations. All of that don't phase you. Why? Because you're on fire. You're in rage and righteousness, man. You're moving everything to the side. You don't burst into flames. It says, and burning like a raging fire. So when you're on fire for the Most High, the Lord says it's like a raging fire. Meaning what? Well, why y'all brothers always yelling on the street corners? Why y'all so zealous for the law? Why aren't you? Hey, the Lord said, when you're burning, you're like a raging fire, man. You can't help but shake the hand. Hey, the Most High shakes the hand over the inhabitants of the land. You can read about that all throughout the scriptures. It says water cannot put it out. So even the Aegean Sea, right? The Atlantic Sea, the Black Sea, no sea an abundance of wonder of water could be able to put out this truth in your fire, man. No matter how great or large it is, and the Lord said, water cannot put it out. No flood can drown it. So that's basically saying, no matter what you go through in this truth, that if you're truly on fire for the Lord, any situation or something trying to quench it, pulling you away from the Most High, it can't. It says, but if any try to buy love with their wealth, right? Contempt is all they would get, man. So you can't buy this truth. This truth has to be deeply rooted in you, and you have to be on fire for it. Right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Proverbs. Right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 26, and I'm gonna start at verse number 20. It says, "Where no wood is, the fire goeth out." So for all you brothers that are individualites, I can do it all by myself. I'm bad by myself. I don't need no camp. It's not about a camp. It's about sincere brothers that have your back. It's about brothers that are prayed that you could confide in, that you could get counsel with, man. It's not about a quote unquote camp, right? That's a very carnal way to look at this truth, right? It's a congregation and a brotherhood. It's something that you can't buy in the world, man. People go through death and hell joining fraternities, man, doing all type of wickedness and witchcraft to allege themselves to a beast and a brotherhood on the left hand side, man. You could literally have sincere brothers that are praying for you when you don't know it, that are righteously getting on you when you need it, where you can't see where you're going wrong, man. See, every man is right in his own eyes. That's why you have counselors, helpers, right? Governors, kings. You have these men to direct you, fathers, leaders. It says, where no wood is, and wood is man. Man is likened unto trees. So where an abundance of men are to keep you on your swivel, keep you sharp, or a sisterhood, man. Don't think one sister could do it all by herself. Where no wood is, the fire goeth out. Why? Because it's going to come a time where you need a precept and a demon may be blocking your mind. You can't think of that precept off the top. You can't think of what you ought to do. And what do? You lean on your own understanding and you end up going off and drifting farther away from the Most High. So where there is no talebearer, right, the strife ceaseth. So the Lord likened the same wood to fire to casting out a scorner. Right. And that's so true because when you have murmurers and backbiters, right, and that's not at all in a congregation or amongst a brotherhood, everything ceases the same way that wood and that fire. So you want to make sure that brothers are seeking these things out. There are many ways to stay on fire, and one that we're touching on is joining yourself to other men. There's been plenty of times where brothers have been low in the spirit and went to camp, and that brother teaching said exactly what they needed to hear. Brothers got it.
That's the most truest point in the world, man. You know, and we always say that if you don't come to camp, you never see what you're missing out on, man. There's plenty of times that brothers that came to camp and you dealing with something that precept got brought out, your whole day, the whole way you looked at a certain situation did a 180, right? And what we're reading are the attributes of the elect, right? These are the attributes of the elect, right? The elect is not getting tossed into with doctrines, getting tossed to and fro with the ways of the world. Right, let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 2. We're going to start at verse number 44. Right, because the scriptures tell you into a malicious soul, wisdom won't enter. So the elect are going to obtain wisdom through Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They're going to be searching high, low. They're going to be looking at their concordance, right? The blue letter, looking at different articles. And there's certain things that you're going to miss out on, right? There's certain things that you'll miss out on. And that's why it's good to have a brotherhood and a sisterhood that can help you pick up where you're lacking at. Because Lord knows I can't carry all this weight on my own. It's heavy dealing with the congregation, dealing with work, dealing with your family, dealing with your own problems. But when you have brothers there to exhort you, to help you, right, these things become 10 less pounds on your shoulder, right? That's why you have a brother like Joseph of Arimathea who helped the Lord carry his cross, right? That cross could have been, 200, 300 pounds. But to have that brother there, to have that congregation there, right? I'm sure that weight was so much easier to bear. Not saying it's easy to bear all the sins of Israel, but it wasn't as heavy to carry that cross, right? So this is 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and verse number 44, right? And it says, so I asked the angel and said, sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive honor. Then said I unto the angel, what young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. So the elect are going to stand stiffly for the name of the Lord, right? Wisdom is going to direct their steps so they can stand strong for the name of the Lord, right? It's not by coincidence we found out that the name of the Lord was Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
Right.
That was wisdom that directed you so that you can have that chance to everlasting life, so that you may be able to have that crown placed upon your head. And you can shake off these mortal clothes and put on the immortal, right? That wisdom that all men desire. You don't think Esau searching high and low trying to get that wisdom? Elam, Ham, right? They're all searching to get this understanding, right? Google isn't a app just to search, right? All these things were created for the elect's sake so they can obtain wisdom, right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8. I think we want to start at verse number 6. Wisdom of Solomon 8 and verse 6. Lucky. I'm going to start at 7. And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtuous, right? This is going into wisdom, right? So if a man truly loves wisdom, everything that he's going to do is going to be virtuous. And it's going to be beautiful, man, because you're not going to do things in vain, Salaki. You're not going to do things that are going to obtain death and destruction, but you're going to do things that magnify the name of our Lord, right? You're not going to be at strip clubs. You're not going to be doing all these wicked things if you love righteousness, right? Wisdom's going to make your works virtuous, right? If you love righteousness, you're going to be around men and women who are virtuous, who desire the same things that you desire. Right? For she teaches temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. So there's nothing more profitable than what wisdom can teach you, such as justice and fortitude. Right? You might go into the definition of fortitude, Abgisha.
Khan.
Right? It's nothing more profitable in life than that. Right? Because everything else is just the ways of the world. Everything else is just folly and vanity. Right? We used to play sports growing up. I used to watch Charles Barkley highlights all day, all night. Scottie Pippen highlights all day, all night, just so I can find out how I can be a better basketball player. Now I search the scriptures and I talk to brothers and I talk about my forefathers so that I can be a better man for myself, for my family, for the brothers, for brothers' children to look at as examples, right? And for the nation of Israel, right? So fortitude, courage in pain or adversity, right? So it's how you're going to deal with adversity. Wisdom teaches you that, how to be a stoic, how to not succumb to the flesh, how to not give up the spiritual ghost, shall I say. You don't want to just be a dead man walking and, oh, I guess I'm going to just go do what I want to do. No, it's how you have that courage and how you bounce back from being at a lower state, right? And these are some synonyms, right? Bravery, strength of mind, and strength of character. So wisdom teaches you how to be a stronger character in this truth, right? How to not be the same person that you were before. How to not be that soft, weak vessel that you were before this truth. Because the more wisdom you have, the better you deal with situations. Right, I'm going to read two more of these. I'm going to get one more verse and you got it, Gabar. It says perseverance, right? Guts, grit, and spunk, right? Right. It was an old football coach named Joe Paterno. He used to coach at Penn State, right? Until that whole scandal came out. He said he wouldn't recruit people who didn't have spunk, right? Somebody who didn't have that strength. When you're down 45 to nothing, are you going to give up or are you going to keep fighting? Because that's how it is with these demons. That one just doesn't come on you. 5 more try to attack you. 7 more try to attack you. How are you going to deal with that situation when those demons are coming at you? Right? Verse number 8. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old and contortive all right, which is to come. She knoweth the subtle of speeches and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders, the events of seasons and time. Right? So wisdom is going to teach all that you need to know, but you have to desire righteousness. You have to desire to be around those who do desire righteousness. Because once that little bit of oil that the Lord may have given you drains out of your candlestick, who can get it back? Who has the spirit to go up, or who can retain the spirit? If you want to go back to the Most High, no man can. So that's why you have to do these things to prove to the Most High that you deserve to be part of the elect, right? That says you make your election and your calling sure. It's not just given, it's earned. But you got it, Gabar.
All right. Let's go to the book of Second Ezra. Second Ezra, chapter 7, and verse number 18. It reads, nevertheless, actually, I'm sorry, verse 17. Then answered I and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but the ungodly should perish. Right? So only the righteous are going to inherit all of the blessings, right, and all of the honey that you read about in the scriptures, right? All the things that's sweet, such as having servants, handmaids, right? Many mansions, right? Having domain over 5 cities, 10 cities, right? Etc. These are the things that the righteous are going to attain per adventure, spiritual powers, immortality, right? Having a seed as the grass of the field. Okay, reading on. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for a while. Right? So the righteous are going to suffer things, right, which are things that may come up, right? There's families that may turn against you, right? Things that may put you in odds, because when you're in straits, right, you're in a sense of a shackle, right, or adversity, okay, reads, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for what? For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things and yet should not see the wise. Right? The wicked, right? Those that maybe in this truth, right, for a season, right? Those that may that may fall out, man. Right? Those that may die the death of the uncircumcised, right, being the nations, right? They're not going to see or be partakers of that great deliverance, man. Right? Being the right, receiving crowns of glory, right? As the brother just read in second as the second chapter, right? All of those things that's prophesied, man, right? Because you're fulfilling your lust now. You're getting all of your just rewards, your just due now, right? Why it's carnal, right? Things that's ready to be destroyed, man, right? Because the Lord said that in the book of Acts, right? Acts the 14th chapter, all right? Acts the 14 and verse number 22. It reads, it reads, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. Right? These are exhortations, right, for you to continue in the faith, right? For you to continue right through the spirit. Right? These are the men, the women, right, that are going to endure until the end. Right? This is the spirit that you're supposed to have. And that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the most high. Right. So those that endure, right, should understand, right, that you're gonna go through much tribulation, huh? Right, heavy straits, right, bills, right, vexation, demon spirits, huh? Okay, you may have certain uh damn co-workers or your so-called bosses, man, right? The so-called laws that and powers that be that may put you in straits, man, that may put you in bonds, all right. But evidently, right, when you put your trust, right, you put all faith into the Most High, man. Right? He's liable to ease those burdens, man. Right? And also, you may be put in trial or in test to see if you are actually going to fully be in this thing or if you're going to deny the Lord at the last cent. Right? Because it's certain men that now it's easy, man, and men are still quitting. You still got those that's falling out the truth, huh? Right, for holidays, for unclean animals, right? This damn swine, right? Shrimp, crab, and lobster. Certain things that you just can't let go. How much more being able to endure, right? When it's time to go through the things that our Lord went through, right? Being brought before judges, right? Accusations that may be misleadingly right put upon you, man. Okay. When it's time to go before guillotines, FEMA camps, and governors and things of those sorts and natures, right? Are you going to actually right endure, man? Right, or are you going to be that man that just throws in the towel and gives up? Right, I'm gonna get one more. Hebrews chapter 10. First the book of Hebrews chapter 10, and I'm gonna start at verse number 32. All right, Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 32. But call to remembrance the former days in which, after ye were illuminated, ye endured a great fight of afflictions. Right, so the Lord, He commands you to remember the former days, man. Right, to remember the times that our forefathers were going through hell, huh? Right? Remember the times that our people were put in captivity, huh? Right? I mean, if you don't know any captivities, I mean, just read the Book of Judges, right? How our nation of people went into captivity between nation, right behind nation, huh? Right? Because our people keep just going off, huh? Right? And also look at the righteousness, right, of our forefathers, man, right, which are paths and light ways, right, for you to actually walk, man, right, to walk after our righteous foremothers, man, right, Mary, right, Abigail, right, Sloth, Martha, man, okay, Judith, Esther, right, and to also look at our righteous um men, man, you, Jeremiah, Daniel, right? Those that didn't bow down, right? Those that didn't quit, right? Right, and understood that even until death, right? Even when facing damn being put inside a furnace, bro. Right, to still, right, not forsake the Most High, and to continue, right, to endure until their last breaths, man. Counsel with that, bro, Scott.
Con. That's right. Brothers giving that wise counsel, bringing it out. Right? You gotta take on, like the brother just said, you gotta take on the spirit of our forefathers, man. Right? Hey, literally the three holy children, they said, it is not hard, O king, to answer thee in this matter. Meaning it is what it is. We're not bowing down. Mordecai didn't bow down. Haman, man. Our forefathers had integrity. And they went through things to test their patience and love towards their God, man. You haven't been through anything yet. And once you start to go through things, we're going to fulfill as it's already in works. Mark the 4th chapter. Soon as persecution arises, a lot of people are going to be offended. And a lot of people are going to fall away. This is the book of 2nd Chronicles chapter 21 and verse number 12. It says, and there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, thus saith the Lord God of David thy father, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat thy father, nor in the ways of Asa, king of Judah, but hast walked in the ways of the king of Israel, and has made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a whoring, like the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also has slain thy brethren of thy father's house, which were better than thyself. Behold, with a great plague will the Lord smite thy people and thy children and thy wives and all thy goods. See, a lot of people think, well, I just fell away. And the Lord said in the book of Sirach, the 15th chapter, say not of the Lord that I have fell away, for thou oughtest not to do the thing that the Lord hateth. Paraphrasing greatly. So a lot of people fall out this truth. Yeah, we could blame it on slothfulness. Yeah, we could blame it on demons. But you really got to examine yourself. You didn't go hard. You didn't examine yourself. You didn't do what the Lord required. So did the Lord really take you out of this thing? Or you purged yourself out through your own slothfulness? The Lord said, choose you this day whom you will serve, man. This isn't a in-depth breakdown. Brothers are going into Daniel. Brothers are going into Esdras. Right? Brothers are going into the deep, dark, prophecies and revelation. Right? This truth is simplicity, man. Fear the Most High and keep the commandments. See, a lot of brothers, they don't keep the commandments. They put their own lusts and what they want over the Most High. And then when they start to pay for it, through being not ravished in the work of the Most High, not ravished in his words, you start to withdraw and withdraw. You blame it on everything else but yourself. You have to pick yourself up, man. See, a brother is locked in spiritually in his room with his covers on, right? He's afraid of light. He don't want to do no work. He's slothful. That slothful demon is going to get a lot of people killed, man. That slothful spirit, see, the Lord loves somebody that's full of work, full of labor, right? And the Lord said, and thou shalt have great sickness. So the Lord judged this man. Why? Because he didn't keep the commandments. And you not keeping the commandments, right? The Lord said, blessed is he that readeth, and he that heareth the words of this prophecy in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 3, man. So you're blessed when you read. You're blessed when you examine, right? You're more ravish and close to the Lord when you do the works of the Lord, man. You have to be about your Father's business. And the Lord has hired each and every one of us to go inside of his vineyard for a penny a day. And you're not in there chilling, posted up on the wall. This isn't the world, man. Every man must spiritually have his tool and be doing some type of work to benefit the harvest of the Lord, man. It says, thou shall have great sickness. And that's spiritual because a lot of people get a sickness, man. Right? They don't want to do this. They make excuses. The Lord start breaking you down slowly. By disease of thy bowels, until thy bowels fall out by reason of thy sickness day by day. So day by day, the Lord plagued, you understand, right, Joram, right, so that day by day he waxed worse. And the Lord said the house of David shall what? Wax stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul shall wax weaker and weaker. When you take on the attributes of these men that we're reading about, what are you going to happen? You're going to have sickness day by day and wax weaker. Moreover, the Lord stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines. So it's not bad enough, His bowels are leaking out. It's not bad enough. He's sick day by day. The Lord, what did he do? He added more affliction and more affliction to essentially he was out of this thing, man. And you don't think the Most High will do that to you? See, first it starts off with I don't want to read. Then it's I don't want counsel. Then it's I don't want to come to camp. And day by day, you wax weaker and weaker. It says, moreover, the Lord stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines and the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians. And they came up into Judah and breaked into it. See, when you're in a spirit, you have what? You have a barricade, a hedge. Like the Lord had a hedge over Job, man. But the Most High took that hedge away that Satan can plague him. See, the Most High has a hedge around about us, man. But he could take that hedge away. You think you catching hell now? Wait till that hedge is left, man. And there's nothing but doleful creatures and spirits and demons plaguing your mind, your thoughts, your loved ones, and every enterprise you shut your hand to. And they came up into Judah and breaked into it, man. When you break into something, that's not a light thing, man. That's a violent thing. Meaning these men, these nations, they broke into it. These demons are breaking into your house and carried away all the substance that was found in the king's house. What's your substance on a spiritual level, man? Your wisdom, your knowledge, right? Everything that you have learned. You start forgetting precepts, right? You start figuring out, why am I listening to man? Now you start waxing worse. You start figuring things out on your own, leaning on your own understanding. Next thing you know, everything that the Most High has given you, which was once wisdom, rubies, diamonds, and jewels, are now being taken away. And his sons also, and his wives, so that there was never a son left him. So that Hosea, Salakia for the pronunciation, is youngest of his sons. And after all this, the Lord smote him in his bowels. Meaning the Most High don't have to stop getting on you. See, you don't just stop with your house being out of order. Okay, the Lord, you got me. No, it may be your house out of order. Then you lose your job. I mean, this man, if you have not learned anything, is if you get on the wrong side of the Most High, he could break you all the way down. Now, not only did the Lord put spirits on him, physically with infirmities, he waxed worse day by day. He put the Philistines, right, the Arabians, and all of these different nations against him. And then he smote his bow with an incurable disease. And the Most High may not give you what's the word? He may not give you a way to come back to him, man. See, everybody's on the path following a shepherd. But once you get too far away, hey, the Lord can leave you there, man. Right? It says with an incurable disease. And it came to pass that in process of time, after the end of 2 years, how many people wax worse in this truth week by week, day by day, month by month, and they can't notice they've waxed worse until they're eventually out of this thing? See, when you turn the light down, it doesn't always have to be cut off or blown off immediately fast. When the Lord could blow out your candlestick today, and then you're in the world, or the Lord could do what? He can make you wax worse day by day. Saul waxed worse day by day. When you read the book of 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter, it literally says, paraphrasing greatly, he slept on that. Right when they were screaming David by 10,000s and Saul by thousands, and then the next day he waxed worse. And then every day after that, he wanted to kill David. Now he has an army against David. So those demons will work on your mind. After the end of 2 years, his bowels fell out by reason of sickness. And that's a long time to be catching pain in hell. So he died of a sore disease, and his people made no burning for him. I mean, he has no memorial, like the burning of his fathers. Brothers got it.
God, yeah, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. Let's go to first 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and we can start at verse number 8. All right, 2 Corinthians 5 and verse number 8. And make you examine how you're moving in the spirit, reading things like that. Right, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse number 8. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him. So that's really what this whole truth is being about, is being accepted of him. right? We don't want to be accepted of man, right? Yeah, it feels good to have Gabar or Araya, tell me, that was a mighty video, good teaching, things of that nature. It's always good to have, they call them affirmations, right? It's good to have affirmations from brothers, right? But none of that's null and void if it doesn't come from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. If I'm laboring and I don't hear well done, good and faithful servant, it's a waste of time. It's not profitable at all. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Yahweh, that everyone that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he have done, whether it is good or bad. So we're all going to be judged for the things that we have done. And the reason that people catch judgment and they can't accept that judgment is coming to them because they truly don't accept Yahweh Shem Yahushua. A wise man understands that judgment will come if you do the things contrary to what the Lord has told you, right? And the Lord said that if you are of the Father, you're going to do the things that please him, right? Let's go to the book of John, right, chapter 8. And we can start at verse number 28, right? The book of John, chapter 8, and verse 28. Right, this is John 8 and 28, and it reads, it says, then said Yahweh to them, when ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things. So the things that we're saying and the things that our foreprophets have said, and the prophets are now who are on the highways and byways, they come from Yahweh from Yahweh. It's a beautiful order that comes down, right? And it says, and he that sent me is with me. The Father has not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him. So if you're truly of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you're not going to do the things that get a reward from gangbangers, drug dealers, pimps, whores, harlots, right? We're not looking for validation from them, right? We're looking for validation from the Lord because we're going to do the things that please him. Because if you're truly in this walk and calling yourself an Israelite, you're going to search daily and diligently to see the things that are happy in the sight of the Lord, right? Verse number 30. As he spake those words, many believed on him. Then said Yahweh to those Jews which believed on him, right? And that's a cut unto all, those Christians who say that none of the Jews believed in the Lord, right? That wouldn't even make sense. Wouldn't make sense that you had apostles and teachers in Israel if none of the Jews believed on them, right? Which believed on him, then said Yahweh to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples. So to be called a disciple of the Lord, you got to follow and continue in his words, right? You got to swallow up the whole roll, right? Isn't he called the word of God in the scriptures? Wasn't he that angel that led us out of Egypt? Didn't he give us the law on that fiery mountain? We got to understand it through the mouth of Moses, right? This is how you truly become a disciple of the Lord. By going to Exodus, by going to Revelations, a little bit of Galatians, a little bit of 1 Corinthians. You got to be able to go through all these things and keep the words of the Lord so that you can be pleased and found faithful in him. Because the works of the flesh are going to keep dragging you down. They're going to drag you down more and more and more and more and more if you give that water a slight bit of passage, right? Like if you ever seen a dam, if you open it up just a little water comes through, it's no stopping it. Once you give way to that little sin and you bat an eye at it, it's like a flow of water from a dam. It's just going to keep going and going and going. It's going to become unstoppable, right? I got one more, Gabar. Let's go to Romans chapter 8, and I'm going to start at 7, right? That's the works of the flesh. The works of the flesh just are here to see who's truly here to serve the Lord and who truly believes on the Lord that they can overcome the works of the flesh. Because best believe everybody on here, we fight the works of the flesh. Slothfulness, anger, All these demons try to hop on the sons of men, right? That's Sirach 40, verse number 1, right? A heavy yoke are all for the sons of Adam. That's not just physical, that's spiritual as well. That heavy yoke isn't just going to be, I got to lift 1,500 pounds a day of mulch. No, you spiritually got to lift 1,500 pounds and get rid of all those ways of the world that keep trying to creep back up, that old man, right? So this is Romans 8 and 7. Because the carnal mind is an enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. Right? So that carnal mind isn't gonna think, well, what is the law of uncleanliness? Right? Why does the woman have to be separated at the time of childbirth for X amount of months? Right? Why do I have to wash myself after these certain situations? The carnal mind isn't going to understand it because there's spiritual things that come along with the law. Right? So then they that are of the flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit. If so be that the spirit of God dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the spirit of Yahushua, he is none of his. So if you don't have the spirit of Yahushua, then you really can't understand the scriptures. And there's no point of being in this truth. But the only way to know if you're truly moving in the spirit of Yahushua is go back and look in the mirror after you read these accounts, the law, Proverbs, and see if they fit you. And see if you're going to allow them to keep fitting you that's falling short. Or you're not going to be that fool, you're going to be that wise man that hides himself from the danger that's coming. And are you going to change your ways? That's truly the sign of being a disciple of Yahushua. But you got it, Gabar.
Con. All right. Let's go to the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter 22 at verse number 14. It reads, what is heavier than lead? Actually, slack it. What is heavier than lead? And what is the name thereof but a fool? Sand and salt and a mass of iron is easier to bear than a man without understanding. Right. And also, when you are in this truth, you also gotta have understanding of what you're getting yourself into. Right. A lot of men and a woman, they also fall out of this truth because you don't have understanding of this truth, huh? Right? Right? You may think it's just uh, a so-called a group, man, right? Just a get together, man, right? Or you may be coming into a congregation, or you may come into the truth, man, right? With the wrong type of idea, huh? Right? Or the wrong type of mindset, right? As the brother said earlier, man, right? Certain men they uh they talk about so-called camps, and they have camp doctrines, man, right? When you literally having access to men and women that can build you up, right? That can give you counsel, that can help you endure in this truth, man, right? Because nobody can do anything alone, right? Verse number 16, it reads, as timber girt and bound together in a building cannot be loose or shaken, so the heart that is established by advice counsel shall fear at no time. Huh? Right. So a building or a temple, right, or anything that's built up, that's a structure, right? The wind is not just going to blow it to and fro, right? If you have a solid, like a solid a foundation, right, and not a foundation of just madness, man. Right? You're coming in right with this camps, right? Well, this camp says I can do this, right? Well, this camp said that I can do that. I seen that video, and you kind of mix everything up so that you can wickedly use the precepts, right, to justify your lust of your flesh, man. Right? Hey, you're gonna be cast aside, man, right? But if you're established on that solid foundation, right, those are going to endure. Let me get that real fast. First Corinthians, the third chapter. Right, First Corinthians chapter 3 and verse number 11. It reads, "For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Now, if a man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide, which he hath built upon, it's like it thereupon, right? He shall receive a reward, right? Right. So when you also come into this truth, right, you're not going to endure, right? If you build your foundation right on straw, huh? Right. I'm sure all brothers, sisters that may be watching, right? We heard the story of the three little pigs, man. Right. One had damn hay, right? One had damn straw, man, right? And then the last one had that brick house, man, right? The wolves came and blew down the first two houses, man, right? But that brick house was the one that stayed, man, right? That brick house, that solid foundation, I find gold, that I find silver, man, right? That is what's going to be able to stand the test of time, man, right? Because these wolves and foxes also proceeding to the book of Song of Solomon, right? 2 and 15 on down, man. Right? These nations are as foxes, man. Right? And as greedy wolves, right? Beasts that crew about in the dark, right? To seek to destroy you, man. Right? To seek that to just cast you down, man. Right? Right? So if you're going to plug it, be in its truth and endure, you gotta make sure that you're constantly building up a foundation, right, of alms, man, right, prayers, right, charity, man, right, as the Lord said in the book of Tobit, man, right, it's like charity, man, right, help, it's like help deliver you from death, man, right. If you're not teaching, man, right, if you're not helping up building up your fellow brother, man, right? If you're only about I, right? Me, and what benefits me and how I can still be myself before I came into this truth, man, right? You're gonna get burnt up, destroyed, man, right? Yet, if you build yourself up on those good works, man, right? That is what's going to be able to endure. And those works that you do have are going to continue to be purged and refined in this truth as well, man. Right? That you do endure unto the end. All right, let me get Sirach, Sirach chapter 23, and I'm gonna start at verse number 12. Right, Sirach 23 and 12. It reads, "There is a word that is clothed about with death, man." Right, and that's sin. Right, the Lord said in Romans 6 and 23, right, wages of, for the wages of sin are death. Right, so if you aren't practicing, man, right, or every time, right, as we touched on this past Shabbat, right, a righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up, right? He doesn't just wallow in his sins, or every time you go off, right, you let your iniquities just continue to lift up themselves, man, right? Because then you're going to have those hedges, right? Those righteous pathways of light, right now hedged up with thorns, right? You can't go to and fro, and everything is going to be covered up, right? That's what happens when you take breaks off, right? You take months off, right? Or certain men talk about, hey, I've been in the truth for 15 years, right? I'm gonna put in my package of retirement, right? I'll come back in 5, right? Hey, after you sluck it, after you leave, man, the first love, man, right? After you sluck it, you continue, man, right, to abide with sin and darks and death, man, right? You're gonna be out this thing. Read it on. It reads, "The Most High grant that it be not found in the heritage of Jacob, for all such things shall be far from the godly, and they shall not wallow in their sins, man. Right. So the righteous, man, right, even though they may go off not maliciously or intentionally, man, right, it reads that what? It reads that they shall not wallow in their sins, man. Right, meaning that man or woman that wants to endure, right, you're going to continue to repent daily, man. Right, not have the mindset of, well, hey, I'm just I just went off for like the fourth time this week, man. Right, and maybe that, hey, I'm not the elect. Right, maybe I'm just going to give up, man. Right, and I'm just going to just wallow in sorrow, right, like a damn pig and a damn a pond, man. All right, right. So those who actually endure it, man, right, you're gonna pick yourself up, man. Right, continue, right, to do those works that the Most High has commanded to do. Right, that bro's got it.
Con. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up real quick. Is how hard is it to keep a fire burning? Right? It says keeping a fire burning can be moderately difficult as it requires consistent attention. So if we're going to look at this spiritually, to keep a fire burning is your spirit. It says burning could be moderately difficult. Right? So keeping it burning, anybody that's kept, the Feast of Tabernacles, right, out in the wilderness, they know that you have to continuously add on top of that fire. Not only do you have to add on top of that fire, it may not be logs that are already cut. You have to literally sweat. You have to chop down. You understand wood. You have to make logs. You have to carry the logs. You have to make sure that the logs are dry. You have to put it in an area to where the fire is going to consume up, right, and not decay. So you got to really know what you're doing, and you got to feed that fire. It says it requires consistent attention to maintain the necessary elements of heat, right? The necessary elements of heat, fuel, oxygen, and if any of these elements are significantly reduced, meaning if you're not keeping this fire lit with the fuel, with the oxygen, with the things it necessarily needs, the fire will start to die down. And that's even on a physical level, man. Now you have fuel, you have oxygen. I believe you have 4 or 3 elements of fire, right? And if you don't feed that fire the way it needs to be fed, it's going to start to die down. And it's the same way when you look at your spirit, man. You may have a lot of reading, but you're not going over your precepts. You may have a lot of fasting, but not a lot of prayer. You may have a lot of prayer, but not a lot of fasting. There's something that's decaying your fire daily. And then you have that man that's examining all that fire needs so that that fire grows stronger. Said the fire will start to die down and eventually go out, meaning you need to regularly add fuel and manage airflow to keep it going. It says regularly, man. There's no such thing. I've never seen a brother in my life in this truth that has been on fire and he's done nothing else to continue that fire. No, brothers have to continually read. Brothers have to continually examine, continually pray. This isn't you just got baptized with the word of life and you're just sealed and you have to do nothing else to the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah. There's more work that needs to be done, right? Let me get this real fast. Now, these were the 3 stages I was talking about. You have oxygen, heat, and fuel, but it says there are 4 stages of a fire. You have the non-flaming, right? Smoldering. You have stage 2, developing the fire, well ventilated flame. So you have a lot of people maybe at stage 1. They're trying to figure out if this truth is for them. Are they trying to bear witness? They're curious. They're listening. They're watching the videos. And then you have stage 2, right? Developing that fire. See, stage 2, a large amount of the time is when people are coming into this truth, they're more on fire. They're more curious. They've never read the book of Revelation. They're curious about Second Esdras. They want to know about Behemoth and Leviathan. They want to know what this camp teaches and that camp teaches. Their ear is open. They're more receptive to hear, learn, and to be taught. And then you have stage 3, fully developed fire. This may be for your brothers that are on the highways and byways. They've made their mind up. They're going to serve the Most High. These are for your women that cook so clean, that do righteous acts for the congregation. They have made their bed and made sure that this is where I'm a lie at. This is the truth. They have planted themselves right in this doctrine of life. It says fully developed fire. And then you have stage 4, which a lot of men, sad to say, are going through, is decaying. And there's only one way up to go when you at the top, like they say, then down, right? And the decay is the most scariest stage of being in this truth, man. You're not as on fire as you used to be. The word isn't as zealous and accepting and ravishing your heart like you used to. You've already read the book of First Samuel. You already read the book of Second Esdras, and now it's just not doing it for you anymore. You have to check that spirit, man. Hey, the Lord already knew He is the Word, but yet He was reading the book of Isaiah in the scriptures, right? He was in the synagogues teaching. These things we have to consistently do. Like Peter said in Second Peter, the first chapter, though you know these things, right? And the Lord said in Second Peter, the third chapter, I will stir up your minds by way of remembrance. So you have to have your mind and your spirit stirred up for this work. Right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Job. And like the article said, you have to continuously examine and keep that fire going with consistency. It's not going to go on its own. Right? Let's go to the mighty book of Job, chapter 29. Right? And I'm going to start at verse number 2. Right? It says, oh, that I were in months past, as in the days when God preserved me. Right? And that's a lot of the times we may think that, man. Man, I wish I was in days past when I was on fire. I wish I was in days past, when I was ravished with this work, man. Yeah, I kind of wish I was in days past when I wasn't catching hell, when the Most High preserved me with a hedge round about. It says, when His candle shined upon my head. And everybody remember the first precept they heard. The first precept they remembered, man. The first time the Lord spoke to you, man, right? Through the Spirit. And you've had that understanding and been ravished ever since. When that candle shined upon your head, which is wisdom. And when by His light I walk through darkness. Right? And everybody remembers there are certain things that you had to go through, right? That through the mercy of the Most High and the boldness that He gave you, you walked through certain situations you didn't know how to, right? You didn't know how to get rid of old friends. You didn't know how to put that cigarette down, that weed down. Stop dealing with those whores, man. And stop being a whoremonger. And stop dealing in the streets, right? A lot of brothers have withdrawn themselves from gangs. And when that light shined upon you, you walk through dark places. You have to remember these things. It says, as I was in the days of my youth, right? And your youth on a spiritual level is when you were first reborn. See, when you were first reborn, you were listening, you were following, you were ready, you were zealous, you were doing the work of the Most High, and you don't want to wax old in this thing. And the Apostle Paul said, I die daily, meaning we're born every day. So we should still have that same spirit of a newborn, a new birth as a child following the Lord to the time of the kingdom. It says, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. So we have to remember these things. And when we remember these things, we can't forget where the Most High is taking us from, man. Like when Yahweh Shah says, shall you also go astray? Paraphrasing greatly. And the Apostle Peter, what did he say, man? Whither should we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. And you have to have that same mentality. Let me get this one quick precept in Jeremiah, right, chapter 2. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and 2. Go cry in the ears of Jerusalem. Meaning, let them know this isn't a game. When you crying, you're wailing. You're coming from the back of your throat and you're making it a trumpet. The Lord told Jeremiah to proclaim His voice as a trumpet, saying, thus saith the Lord, I remember thee. Meaning, this is the Most High saying how He remembers you, Israel, man. And you may remember your son when he used to get good grades. He used to get honor roll. He used to love writing you little things. You put it on the freezer and the refrigerator. His innocency, who he used to be before he turned. Hey, the Lord said, I remember you, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thine espousal, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness. We went after the Lord in the wilderness. We followed that chariot. We followed Yahweh Shah. It says, in the land that was not sown, meaning we didn't know where we were going. We were following the Lord, right? It says, Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall be offended. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me? See, people are starting to withdraw from the Lord. But why? You got to really consider the reasons why you're going astray, man. It says, for me, and have walked after vanities, and are become vain. Right? This is the point. Neither saith they, where is the Lord that brought us out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness? Meaning we don't remember what we've been through. We don't say, where is the Lord that brought us out of Egypt, that brought us through the wilderness, man. You have to consider all of the things the Most High did for you. It says, through the land of deserts and pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passeth through, where no man dwelt, man. You have to consider all we've been through. Not only that, hey, this is written for our learning sake. Hey, the Most High said, look, I remember. So he's giving you an insight of how he thinks, of how he looks at you, man. See, if the Most High could visit us all by a dream tonight, it would scare us half to death. How much more we could do for him, how much more we lack, how many things we put before him. See, by staying on fire, you have to be selfless. See, a man that wants that fire to be burning, he has to withdraw himself from the cares of his body hurting to pick up that log, to the cares of the things that are going on, to make sure that no matter what's going on, that flame is continually lit, man. It's not about you. Because at any given second, like the Lord said in the book of Revelation through the 7 churches, he walks in the midst thereof, man. And at any given second, he could blow out their candlestick. My brother's got it.
God, God. And that analogy of a fire, that is no better. That was a perfect analogy on how to stay on fire. I got 3 precepts. You know, just like the brother read in the scripture, you can ask your father, was the Lord ever not there? Loosely paraphrasing. That's Deuteronomy 32:7. Right? Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask our father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. So we're supposed to go to the ancient men who have good report with the Lord. The ancient men who was set up as an example of how we should walk. And this is Sirach chapter 48 and verse 1. Right? Sirach 48 and 1. Then stood up Elias, the prophet, as fire, and his word burnt like a lamp. So the prophet Elias was like a fire, right? He was like a fire, and it's just everything he did. Elijah was just like that. He was like that, man. He cut people down. He stood up for the words of the Lord, right? He got rid of false prophets. I'm gonna jump to verse number 10. Or I'm gonna start at verse number 9. Right, who was taken up in a whirlwind as of fire, and in chariots of fierce horses, who was ordained for reproofs in times. So you being on fire like Elijah was, right? It'll be for reproof, right? Somebody will look at you and say, you know what? I'm not going as hard as I can for the Lord. It's happened to me countless times. I know it's happened to these brothers countless times. You being on fire is an example to the next brother, to the next sister, on how they can get their spirit right, how they can examine, and say, you know what, how this brother is going, I want to do the same thing, right? You don't need to measure yourself up to another man, but you can use that example on how to go harder, that example on what you need to do to sustain for Yahweh Shem Yahushai, to see the coming of the Lord and the destruction of your enemies. Right, that's a blessing, like it says in Sirach. That's an honor for any man to see the downfall of his enemies, right? Who was ordained for reproofs in their times, to pacify the wrath of the Lord's judgment before it break forth into fury, right? So Elijah was set forth to pacify the Lord's judgment. How much you? Right? You could be the one who's an example to the next brother, and to the next brother, and to the whole nation, and the Lord can withdraw a certain wrath that he already had planned out. Right? These things we're not mindful of. You know, Israel is a very selfish nation because we're around selfish nations. Right? That's not how it was of old. We always thought about the next man. That's why we didn't glean our vineyards. Like if the grapes fell, we would leave it for the widows, the fatherless, those who were less fortunate. But now our ideology is me, I, mine. And they forget that we left out of Egypt as a whole in great substance. The Lord didn't just take the family of Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, and everybody else was left. He took all Israel out so we could sacrifice to him and keep a feast. So if I'm falling short and I need a brother to look at, I can look at the brothers around me. And that's the ideology that we have to have. Now, I'm going to finish this and I'm going to go to Colossians, the 4th chapter. It says, "In the Lord's judgment before it break forth in a fury, and to turn the heart of the father unto the son, and to restore the tribes of Jacob." So you being on fire, and back to the analogy of a fire, if you have something that is a conduit that makes more fire, a conductor, that blaze is going to be uncontainable, right? That's how house fires are. In these row homes down here in Baltimore, somebody have a kitchen fire. Next thing you know, the whole block is on fire. And that small flame caused the whole block to be on fire. How much more us being on fire around one another? That small flame, what it can do, right? The whole camp will be zealous. The whole camp will say, well, 4 hours ain't enough. Let's do another 4 hours. Let's do another 4 hours after that 4 hours. Right? That flame will just keep going on and on and on and on. Right? This is Colossians chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse number 12. Ephorus, who is one of you, a servant of Hamashiach, saluteth you, always laboring fervently for you in prayers. Right? So he was always laboring. Salaki. Always laboring fervently in prayers. His mind was always thinking about praying for the church, praying for the church, praying for this family who's going through it, praying for that family that's going through it. That ye may stand perfect and complete in all the will of God. For I bear him record that he have a great zeal for you, and them that are in Laodicea, and them in Hierapolis. So you want to be like Ephorus. You want to be like him, always zealous, always praying that the Most High sees you as perfect, right? Not just you, but the brothers that you love, the sisters that you love, right? The people who you would die for. You should be praying for them without ceasing. That's why you have to set your mind on things that are above, right? The more you dwell on this surface level right here, the more you're going to be corrupted. The more you're going to think about things that have nothing to do with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And once that evil seed is sown into your head, who's going to take it out? Right? You can't just go in your mind and remove it. That's the parable of the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins. Once you spin that oil up, you can go high and low, mountain to mountain, city to city, hill to hill to find more oil. But it's only of the Lord to give you more. So the more you remain zealous, the more you remain on fire for the Lord. And yes, like the brother was saying, sometimes you got a fire that grows, sometimes you got a fire that decays. But if that fire is there, you still winning. You still in the game. As long as you have breath in your life, you still, or breath in your lungs, you still have time at bat to get your spirit right. Like the brother said, the Lord walks in the midst of the 7 churches. So the Lord can see you getting dim, but you're praying, you're fasting, you're asking the Most High to give you that strength. And he can boost that flame up 10 times higher than it was before. So have your mind set on things that are above. And look at our forefathers who has fallen short. Read the prayer of Manasseh. Read the prayer of Manasseh. He was on his last. He was chained in a basement in a dungeon, right on his very last. And he made supplication to the Lord, and He heard it. These are the things that we need in these last days to keep us going, right? But you got it, Gabar.
Con. There we go. Con. Con. Yeah, and that's the spirit I was holding that in Saint Matthew 25 and verse number 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be like unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. Right. So it's certain men that's like that, and it's truth, man. Right. You know, you got you may have a so-called vessel, man. Right. But what's the point of having a vessel, right? If you aren't going to use it for its proper use, man. Right. For right. For example, right, you got those that have walked in this truth, man, or have been Israelites with fringes, right? It's certain men that they haven't grown from year 1 to year 8, right? You've been in the truth for 10 years, right? But you haven't built up any precepts or anything on faith, right? Anything on charity, you know? Anything on almsgiving, okay? Anything for the poor, the widows, right? You aren't putting any oil or anything that's going to be able to preserve you in the last days, right? That's why even touching on the fire, right? It's like you need all three, right? Because you can have so-called uh on a summer's day, right, 100 degrees plus, you can have heat and the so-called airflow, man, right? But if you don't have that source, right, or fuel, right, you won't be able to have that fire, man. Right? The same with your works in this truth, right? It can't just be all the only thing you do, man. Right? It's just show up the camp, right? And then you just go home and do God knows what, huh? Right? Or the only thing you do is just hold post, right? Or the only thing you do is just hold the camera, right? The only thing you do is just stand to the side and say calm loud. Right? You gotta have right the heat, right, the fuel, right, the airflow, right, because these things make as they say, right, and a well-oiled machine, man. Right? No pun intended, man. Right? So you gotta have oil, man. You gotta have works and things that's going to be able to establish you in that day of judgment to come, man. Right? So when you have times to where like to where you're feeling faint, man. Right? You remember all the short mercies that the Most High has given you, man. Right? The knowledge and remembrance of precepts, right? To be able to um endure certain times or certain hardships that you may have went through and be able to overcome, right? Quick precept, right? Just like our forefathers did in times of old, right? The book of Isaiah, chapter 38, and verse, sorry, 37. All right, Isaiah chapter 38 and verse, I'm sorry, at verse 1. It reads, in those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came unto him and said unto him, thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live, man. Right? So it may be, you may feel like you're on your way out this truth, man. Right? Or you may felt a so-called decline in where you once were, man. Right? And it may seem like you're out the door, out this truth. Right? But verse 2, reading on, it reads, then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto the Lord and said, remember now, O Lord, beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth with a perfect heart and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, go unto So I could go and say to Hezekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer and have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. Right. So this may have been right that the day, man, where hey, you were out the door, man, in this truth, man. Right. This may have been right when your flame was this small, man. Right. But by you professing good works, man, right, smote upon your chest, right, praying, fast, and beseeching unto the Most High, man. Right, the Lord can increase your flame tenfold, man. Right, the Lord could add more oil to you, man. Right, because that may have been a part in this truth that you may have been lacking, man. You know, as the mighty brother brings out in the book of Revelation, the third chapter, you got to strengthen up the things right which remain that are ready to die, right? Because hey, you may have your so-called on a carnal level, right? The fire, right? The wood, it may be going out, man, right? Right, your so-called you're not getting enough airflow and circulation thereof, man. Right, you got to examine, right, to see what things are lacking, what things may be strengthened, right, that you are able to endure, man. Right, making sure that you do have the proper oil, man. Right, because you can't just come this thing with vegetable oil, right, and just thinking that you're going to be able to endure it, man. Right, the little bit of oil, right, that you get from IBB shop, man. Right, no, gotta have that pure beaten olive oil, huh? Right, stronger oil, right, things that's going to be able to continue and endure and last, right, during that period of life, huh? Right. So how much understanding, right, where you may be going off in this truth, where you may be lacking, by beseeching and crying out to the Most High that He may expound those things upon you, right, that you may need, right? And it's like, that is what's going to be able to carry you, right, and to finishing this race in this truth. That road is God.
That's right. And that's the spirit because I wanted to bring that precept out in the book of Revelation. All right. And I want to get it in the GNT. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, in verse number 1. Right. It says, to the angel of the church of Sardis, right? This is the message from the one who has the seven spirits of God and the seven stars. I know what you are doing. I know that you have a reputation of being alive. And a lot of brothers have a reputation, man. A reputation of teachers, reputation of leaders, right? You have a reputation of being a mighty reader, man. Whenever somebody about to bring out the word, and I need that brother to read for me, man. A brother has a mighty reputation of being on fire, a mighty reputation of a lot of zealous and good works, man. It says, even though you are dead. So you can appear before man to be alive, fervent, wise, on fire, but inwardly you're dead. The Lord says, so wake up and strengthen what you still have. And the Lord said, you got a little bit of this thing left in you, man. You better hurry up and wake up. You got certain people that they fall asleep while driving. And if they didn't wake up that split second, what? It was going to be a car crash. And the Lord told you to wake up and strengthen what you still have. See, a lot of people still have that truth deep down within them, huh? And the Lord said in the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, as an old lion, who shall rouse him up, man? See, a lot of brothers got to be roused up, right? And spiritually. And you can't do that by sitting in your room by yourself all alone, man. Right? You got to hear those precepts. You got to come out. Right? Like the Lord said about that wood, man. Where no wood is, the fire goeth out. You want to make sure you joining yourself right to these men. It's been many a camps where we done taught in the rain. You think a brother would have been that zealous by himself in the rain? You don't think he would have closed up camp 45, 2 hours ago, man? Been times brothers taught in a blizzard. You think a brother by himself would have been in a blizzard as long as he was? See, when you're around brothers that are like-minded and in the spirit and on fire, you're more liable to go harder in the spirit, man. It pulls a better man out of you. Brothers that hold you accountable. Brothers push you. You see how hard another brother going or another sister going. I could do that too, man. Why am I acting so weak? If they could do it, why can't I do it? It pushes you. It says, so wake up and strengthen what you still have before it dies completely. See, this thing can die off completely. You know what this is called? It's called mercy. See, the Most High didn't have to show the church of Sardius these things. He could have blew out their candlestick immediately. But this is called mercy. And through these calls, through these videos, through these counsels, through rebuke, through these dreams, the Most High is telling you once, yea, twice, yet man isn't perceiving it. That you have to strengthen up what you need, man. Right? And I got this one more precept in Jeremiah the 6th chapter. Right? This is Jeremiah, right? Chapter 6 and verse number 14 in the GNT. It says, they act as if my people's wounds were only scratches, right? So a lot of people, they act like they're not dying. They act like they don't need to read. They act like they don't need camp. They don't need to talk to brothers. They don't need the things that the Most High said we need, man. We need brothers, right? The Lord said, woe unto him that is alone. It said they act as if my wounds were only scratches. You know what this is called? Hey, brother, how you doing? I'm enduring. Well, brother, you just lost your job. Brother, you haven't read in 3 weeks. Brother, you haven't prayed all day. That's exactly Israel for you, to act like the wounds on their bodies are only scratches when you're spiritually dying, man. You have a hole in your back, man. You're bleeding out. It says all is well, they say, when all is not well. And you ask a brother all the time, hey, Ak, how you doing in the spirit? All is well, all is well. When really all is not well, man. All is not well with you, man. You could be doing a whole lot better. And brothers have to start charging brothers and getting on brothers that always say all is well, man. Gotta start pulling Jeremiah the 6th chapter on you. Because all is not always well with you, brother. Brothers need hope. Sisters need hope, man. The Lord didn't create all of these mighty counselors back on the earth just because. It says all is well, they say, when all is not well. It's like, were they ashamed because they did these disgusting things, man? So you may sin, go off, not feel bad about it, don't want to go harder, are content with the wickedness you're dwelling in. You say all is well when all is not well, and you're not even disgusted by the things that you're doing. You have to hate being slothful. You have to hate not being on fire. If you're not on fire, the Lord could spit you and spew you out of his mouth. It's that serious. The Lord doesn't require it. There's no scripture that says, come unto me, all you lukewarm. It says, no, they were not all at Salaki, they were not at all ashamed. They did not even know how to blush. And so they would fall as others have fallen. And I will punish them. That will be the end of them. I, the Lord, has spoken. Hey, the Lord said, look, he'll give you, he'll put the end to you, man. He'll sift you out. He'll let you fall. If you're falling and you're not acting like you're falling, guess what's going to happen? The Lord's going to have an end to you, man. That's scripture. So all you brothers that can't examine yourself, can't take heed, and don't want to go harder and are content with where you are, you have to examine, is that a mentality of the Lord? Or is that me thinking out of my own belly and my own flesh? Brothers got it.
God, you got it, good boy. I saw you was about to pull something.
Gone. Gone. All right. Sloth. Let me get a quick precept real fast. All right. Let me go to the book of Leviticus. Sloth. Chapter. Sloth. Gone. Gone. Leviticus chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse. I'll start at verse 25. It reads, And slack. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his fingers and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out slack, and shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall burn all his fat upon the altar as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sins, slacking, and it shall be given him. Right, let me jump down to verse slacking 29. Right, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering and slay the sin offering in the place of burnt offering. Right, and the priest slacking, and the priest shall take of the blood thereof with his finger and put it upon the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom, at the bottom of the altar. Right. So especially those men who walk in this truth, right, as priests, right, as many men profess themselves, right, as nations of kings and priests, man. Right, the priests are continually bringing forth offerings. Right, the priests are continually doing the work, right? Whether it's getting rid of right the blood, man, right, casting aside right the ashes, right, into an unclean place, man, right. There's always work, right, that's needed to be done, man. Right. So there's never as they say a dull moment, right? It shall never be, right? Especially if you're charging yourself, right, to be as our forefathers who walked before us, right, who didn't have abundances of excuses. All right, come with that, those guys.
Con. Brothers want to bring out closing precepts?
Come, y'all can. Right, since I'm right here, the book of Leviticus, chapter 6, and verse number 11. And he shall put off his garments and put on other garments and carry forth the ashes without the camp unto a clean place, and the fire upon the altar shall be burned in it. It shall not be put out, and the priest shall burn the wood on it every morning, and lay the burnt offering in order upon it, and he shall burn thereon the fat of the peace offerings. But the fire shall be ever burning upon the altar; it shall never go out. God. Right, so, right, so brothers and sisters in Israel should never be letting their fire go out. Right, right, and it should also have a, for lack of better words, a control fire in this truth, man. Right, because some men, right, they come in with that rage and fire, man, right, but then they burn themselves out, right, and fall out, right. Some men, right, they may have fire, but then you just let your flame just get smaller and smaller, right, until it's completely eradicated, man. Right. So, right. So the Lord said the priest shall burn wood upon the altar every morning, not just some mornings, right, not just on the weekends, right, once a week during the Shabbat, right, but every morning, right, to push your sacrifices in order, right, whether it's, you building up the nation, whether it's doing flyer missions, whether it's teaching, right, but also building up your household as well, man, right, teaching your wives, your children, okay, right, to walk in the law, statutes, and commandments and light of the Lord as well, right, reading on, it reads, the fire shall ever be burning upon altar, right, I mean, always burning, it shall never go out. So with that, brother, times one goodbye, y'all are watching for Israel. Definitely want to encourage all, right, the mighty brothers, sisters, children, right, that watch tonight, right, to take this Monday night fire, right, to continue to keep your fire burning in the Lord and endure until the kingdom comes. So,
Con.
God. Let's go to Sirach chapter 6 and verse number 37. Right, it says, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thy own desire. So as we approach deeper into these last days and we see these prophecies ramping up, we see falling away happening, pestilence happening. We see all these evils arising close. And knowing that judgment is going to start at the house of the Lord, our mind should always be meditating on the things that the Lord commanded us to do. The ordinances, right? Ordinances are the way that you conduct yourself, the way that you move, the way that you represent Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, the way that you represent Israel should always be on how the Lord commanded us to be. He's going to establish your heart. He's going to make your mind steadfast. He's going to make your mind as an immovable rock in the midst of an ocean. And that's what you need in these last days, is to establish your mind. Because when your mind's established, you're not going to waver like a wave in the sea. You're not going to let your flame decay, and you're going to continue to slowly keep going down and down and down until your fire dwindles out. If your mind is established on these things, then you'll never have to question, because your heart will always be of joy and of confidence in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And he'll give you wisdom at thy own desire to be able to move in these last days, right? To be able to help the elect, right? So as the brother said, continue to do what's needed, Israel, to stay away from the ways of the world, the ways of the flesh, and let your mind always be established on the Lord's ordinances and commandments.
Con. And I'm going to close it out with Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse number 24. And it reads, "The Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God." So the Most High is a consuming fire. So always remember, the Most High doesn't sleep, right? The Most High is not off on a long journey. The Most High is a living God, and he's on fire 24/7. The Lord does not take naps. The Lord is on fire all day, all night. So image your spirit after the menorah, man. We have to keep our spiritual menorah always lit, man, at all times. Because whenever your menorah isn't lit, whenever your spirit isn't lit, whenever you don't have the light of the world of Yahushua present with you, what's going to happen? You're going to see darkness, and you stumble in the night. You stumble at darkness. You don't know where you're going. You're often liable to fall and to trip. So you want to make sure that you can evidently, clearly see where it is you're going to follow the shepherd. But with that, brothers want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Malak Yahushua, Brother Ariah.
Brother Amos.
Brother Gabar Ya'Allah.
Shalom.
Shalom.